All right, so we're talking about Jupiter through the houses. If you have not seen my other video, Jupiter through the signs, watch this now or click off and come back. But you can see your own Jupiter sign. I do suggest you put together your Jupiter sign and the houses video and look at your house, look at your sign and Jupiter and kind of figure out like, what does it say about you? I always suggest getting a actual birth chart reading to put all your energies together. There's a link below for my services if you are in need of a birth chart reading for yourself. So here's the thing. Jupiter is about optimism and expansion and light. It's about wisdom. It is about things that need to be uplifted, things that need to be shared. And when we think of light, we can see things now. So Jupiter does have a link to truth, but it also has a link to wealth, and it also has a link to generosity, and it also has a link to what areas of our life we may see the most benefit, the most luck. So I do want to start there with what Jupiter represents. Now, houses, the signs I talked more about what you need to tap into in order to see the most luck. Now I'm talking about the house that your Jupiter is in and what area of your life you may see the most luck, right? Because you could be a Jupiter in Gemini, right? In the second house. And so you're going to feel stable with what you know, and you can make money off what you know, okay? You can make money off what you learn. Right? You might not be someone out there doing all this creative stuff, but maybe your words are important. So that's what I mean by you have to look at the house and the sign. Let's get started with the first house. Jupiter in the first house, people tend to be very exuberant. They tend to be kind of cheerful, happy, some of them. Because of that, they come off as very confident, but also kind of likable. So it's not like sometimes Mars, which rules the first house, can be kind of aggressive. And sometimes we need that, right? Because you need someone who can seize leadership. But Jupiter isn't about leadership as much as it's about simply being optimistic and being open, right? And so these people sometimes have favorability with the way they come across. People kind of gravitate to them for who they are. People kind of gravitate to them and they can kind of seem very confident. Sometimes you can look at a person and be like, why they get chosen for that? You know, why didn't I get whatever the situation is? They might have Jupiter in their first house. So it can be sometimes people see someone and they're like a model or something, and someone says, well, I don't understand how they're a model. Well, maybe their Jupiter's in the first house. And so they're automatically going to be more inclined to have people gravitate to who they are or want to know who they are. Who's that? Right? Who's that? Or I'm choosing you because you're the right person for the job. That is kind of what the Jupiter in the first house tends to do. Now, again, we would have to look at the whole chart to see how nuanced that gets. So this could be a good placement also for people who are in entertainment, people who kind of get lucky for who they like being known for something. Like you are kind of the only one, or you're somehow, chosen to be involved in something. So Jupiter in the first house, people tend to get luck in the area of life of simply just being who they are. Who they are is enough. And sometimes it's not even about what they do. So sometimes you can see that with the Jupiter in the first house people. But any job that requires people to kind of like have to like them, or any position that requires people to kind of have to pay attention to you, and that's why I said like some people, it could be like this more entertainment business type of thing. If you're someone who wants to be known for something in particular, first house Jupiter sometimes lends more easily to that. I'm not saying anyone who wants to be famous has to have Jupiter in the first house. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it might be easier for some people who have that placement than someone who doesn't. Okay, but sometimes Jupiter in first house can be overly confident, but it's more so they believe they can do more than they can, right? Because Jupiter wants to expand itself, and Jupiter really believes that things can get done. Remember, it's also about this idea of belief, right? And risk taking. So sometimes if you're Jupiter in the first house, you can give more than you actually can handle. And then it comes off as like you not being stable, okay? Because if you're saying, I can do all of this, look at me, I'm so, I'm great, I'm excited, I'm wonderful. And then you sometimes can't do all the things that you really think that you want to do. But they can attract attention in that area of your life, attention for being who they are. They don't really have to pretend to be anyone else. They don't have to get into the minds of everyone else. They simply just be who they are. Now, again, you have to look at the whole chart. I'm only talking about this one particular placement. You would have to look at the whole chart to see how this really fits for individuals. Okay. Jupiter in the second house, people benefit either from the foundation they build or from the foundation someone else builds. So these are not people whose efforts are futile. They kind of set the foundation. They kind of see stability. They attract the area of their life where they feel they see the most luck is opportunities that are solid. They're not really it's not like a dog chasing its tail around. They tend to have stability. This could be the person where they stopped working for a year. They took a year off of work and they still have money. Right? Because there's stability there, their luck. So either they saved or maybe somebody's helping them out, because Jupiter can also give and Jupiter can be generous. So you could have someone helping them out and you're like, nobody's helping me out, but that's what Jupiter in the second house does. Now, the problem sometimes with Jupiter in the second house is some of them can make a lot of money, but they have to make sure they keep it, because the second house is about stability. But once we put Jupiter there, Jupiter can sometimes spread itself too thin. Right? So you every single sign, there's two polarities of it. You can be stable because Jupiter is there telling you, hey, I got you. But then if you overuse it, you got to look at the sign too. A Jupiter in Gemini versus a Jupiter in Taurus in the second house. That's going to be a different energy going on there. So Jupiter in the second house, also they have to watch out, because sometimes nothing is good enough. They kind of want more because possessions and money values are in the second house. Right? So sometimes it can be like nothing is like, good enough for some of them. Okay. And they just have to watch out for not being too materialistic, too tied to things. I want more. I want more. I want more. And some of them do learn the lesson of being grateful for what they have. Okay. Jupiter in the second house. Second house is also tied to values, what you believe. So they also can have some of that need to kind of not really change much what they believe, because second house is a fixed house. So also just Jupiter awareness of like expansion, but they're not as open as a Sagittarius. So you have, again, like the second house has multi layers to it, right? So it can bring you money, but also sometimes there's this stubbornness about what to do with it, or when to value it versus not valuing it. Third house Jupiter people should never stop learning. They're going to have the most luck in the area of learning. This could be the person who doesn't have to study that much. This could be the person, I know one person, Jupiter in Gemini. And she is definitely a Jupiter in Gemini. She skipped a grade. Okay. She skipped a grade in elementary school. She was so smart. And social, like she's very social. Jupiter bestows that social likability in the third house, because now we have this ability to connect to people and expand through knowledge. And remember, Jupiter is wisdom. Third house is communication. Jupiter rules ninth house across from the third house, the opposite house. So Jupiter in third house people really benefit from others, but through communication, through following their curiosity. It's a great placement for teaching, for media, for talking, for anything that requires you to have to use information. Is a good placement for a Jupiter in third house person. And they're going to attract the most luck in the area of learning and communication, right? And so sometimes they can use their social, their acquaintances and their social networks in order to achieve something, or to be favorable among others, because people like having conversations with them. Jupiter in the fourth house. So this is going to be the person that's going to have the most luck or have the most beneficial experiences with family. Family can bring them joy. This is a person who tends to be close. It's not always just about close, but like there's a family brings them joy. They're not as likely to have an estranged relationship with their family. Now, again, if someone has Jupiter square their moon or something like that in their chart, that can cause some family issues. Or Jupiter has Saturn in it or something like that. Not Jupiter, Saturn. Your fourth house also has like a harsh planet in it. That can cause some issues, right? So the luck in the position is lucky for people who want to have strong relationships with their family or the family they create. Because we're not just talking fourth house, we are talking about your family, your roots, where you came from. But as you get older, and sometimes the family you came from is not your primary focus anymore. Sometimes some people, it's the family they create with their partner. So that's also important to keep in mind, because Jupiter can relate to children. Okay, expanding your family, having children. If you're somebody with Jupiter in the fourth house and you don't have any kids, you could end up marrying somebody who does have kids. You see what I'm saying? Like there's going to be some type of addition to the family or family responsibilities, but it brings you joy. It's also a person that can spend a lot of money on what makes them comfortable. You spend a lot of money on things like the home, because Jupiter can spend. Jupiter is generous, and fourth house deals with the home. So sometimes you want your living space to be extravagant. You want your living space to be good. This is where you can see the difference in people who are brought up in the same family. And one person's very conservative with how they spend money, and one person is like, no, it needs to, it needs to be nice. My house has to be nice. And one person's like, I'm not spending money on that. I'm spending money on vacations. That's where you can see differences in like people who grew up in the same household but have different traits. But yeah, so they're going to see the most luck in the area of family and home, and probably not have as much drama as somebody that maybe has Mars in the fourth house. Jupiter in the fifth house, people are going to see the most luck and beneficial experiences with their not everyday life. That's the sixth house. With their fun, with their hobbies, because the fifth house is about the things we really want to do. It's what we enjoy. And the fifth house is the house of self-interest, whereas the 11th house is groups and associations. So the fifth house is still a public house. It's open. It's ruled by the sun. So this is fun. So this is the person who likes to go out. This might be a person who likes baseball or basketball, whatever. And someone might just watch it on TV. This person's going to go to the games. Or this person likes parties and they're going to go to the parties. Like whatever it is that they enjoy, they're going to do. They're going to experience it, right? And they want to have fun, and they want to be around other people, and they want to, but again, this is also a person that sometimes can, it's about what they personally enjoy. It's really not about what you want them to enjoy. Now, Jupiter in 11th house person might say, oh, my friend wants me to go here, let me do it. But the fifth house person is always going to be driven by what they personally like, or making other people have fun. Okay. And so romantically, though, some Jupiter in the fifth house people can have a hard time settling down, because Jupiter is about, experience, let me see what's going on. Let me take this risk. Let me do this. So sometimes some people in Jupiter in the fifth house, especially if there's other placements in their chart suggesting this, can have trouble with staying in a relationship with one person or settling down, and again, I'm not saying this is an absolute rule. This is just a tendency of this particular placement. Positions and jobs for Jupiter in fifth house people sometimes can be I didn't say fourth house. Fourth house can be anything that requires them to nurture or care for others, or do something that helps others with their need. Fourth house energy is really good at knowing what people need. So Jupiter in the fourth house people can be good with finding something that people need, and building off of that, right? They might set up a nonprofit organization. Like, I know people need this and I'm going to do this. Jupiter in the fourth house people can have really good luck with, jobs that require them to assist others through helping them get something that makes them feel more secure, if that makes more sense, right? So it could be a person who opens up like their own occupational therapy business. Because fourth house energy, Cancer energy, can be linked to business sometimes. I know a lot of times we think it's only Capricorn, but the fourth house can be linked to money as well, because it's about what you feel secure with, right? It's about securing things. Sometimes the fourth house can be too overindulgent with children. Spoiling children or wanting to be spoiled can be something that can come up with the fourth house placement as well. Sorry, let me go back to fifth. All right, fifth house, good jobs for them would be like event planners, party planners, wedding planner, anything that requires the public, even like somebody that maybe works at concerts, or you're a DJ, anything that requires you to be enthralled in your hobby of creating and doing something that is open, right? You're not really investigating things. Now, again, I'm simply saying what is possible. You would have to look at the person's whole chart to really know. You'd have to look at their midheaven. You'd have to look at, their money house. You'd have to look at their earth houses. How might they make their money? You have to look at the 10th, you have to look at a lot of different things. Jupiter in the sixth house people have really good luck in the area of work, everyday life routines. So this is work. This is every day. The career is the 10th house. So Jupiter in the sixth house people can have favorable connections with others in the job. They tend to have beneficial relationships with people, right? They tend to get along with people. They tend to make money from that, right? So because they get along with people at their job, these people can be more likely to increase their earning potential because they have good relationships with the people that they work with, because they are favorable. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? I don't even know where it is. Or they are seen as someone who's favorable. So they can have a lot of good luck with that. Okay. One thing though about Jupiter in the sixth house is this is also everyday life. So these are also people can have good luck with the areas of, I don't know what's going on right now. With the area of routines. So where some people's life might seem a mess, the Jupiter in sixth house person is easier for them. It's easier for them to navigate routines. So this could be the person who's good at getting things done. They get tasks done really fast. They get things done with optimism. They don't really have a lot of negative perceptions of things that have to get done. They understand the importance of doing what has to be done. And yes, that is important, because some of us can get too trapped into what we want to do and we don't do what we need to do. And some of us can get really trapped in too much on what we need to do, and we don't think about our dreams, what we want to do, right? Also, one thing, because I did bring up this, they can sometimes, Jupiter in sixth house, I have Jupiter in sixth house, so nobody should be feeling anyway. Sometimes you got to watch, like, Jupiter's about expansion and Jupiter's about, like, gain. So sometimes people with Jupiter sixth house can have trouble gaining weight because Jupiter can just expand, like literally and figuratively. So that's just one thing I just wanted to share about Jupiter sometimes in the sixth house. And work usually isn't hard for them to find. Like, they tend to have luck in that area. Does that mean they don't have to work hard? That doesn't mean they don't work hard. Doesn't mean they don't have to work hard. But they tend to have a more easier adjustment to finding work. They're probably not out of luck work for too long because Jupiter is bringing luck to that area of that sixth house. Jupiter in seventh house people, the area of partnership is going to be their lucky placement. It's a lucky placement for them. This ability to not feel as alone as other people, because this optimism is now brought into the seventh house. Whereas Saturn in the seventh house can sometimes have some difficulties. Jupiter in the seventh house is illuminated. And so this is the type of person who finds enlightenment in their partnerships. It's not like Venus in Libra, right? It's more so Jupiter is about, I'm going to learn from you. And this is ascending me. This relationship, like, this might be the person who doesn't view a relationship as a waste of time. So, you know, some people say, oh man, I wasted 3 years of my life. The Jupiter in seventh house person might look at it like, wow, you know, I learned a lot from this relationship and I learned a lot from this relationship, and I'm still going on to the next one. They don't have that same downtrodden perception of relationships just because something failed. They might look at it like everyone has something to offer them that's valuable. And I think, you know, with this particular placement, sometimes they have to watch. And again, Jupiter, seventh house doesn't just mean relationships romantically. It also relates to any type of interpersonal relationships, friendships. It can deal with business partnerships. So I do want to put that out there as well. Jupiter in seventh house people do have to watch for falling too much into relationships, because Jupiter kind of has that very risk-taking mindset. And sometimes not sure this placement of like what's real, right? What's real? What really can stand the test of time? And so sometimes they can be overly trusting about these situations instead of being really realistic about these situations. Jupiter in the eighth house. So Jupiter in the eighth house, people will have the most luck with gaining, but from others. So this be a really good placement for someone in business, someone who makes money off other people's money. This could be a good placement for someone who marries or dates somebody with a lot of money, because the eighth house is home to joint assets, other people's money. The eighth house is also deal with intimacy, and it deals with transformation. Eighth house is about a lot of power and control types of things, okay? And so the eighth house has to, is really auspicious for people who gain from others. Inheritance, right? It's the person who maybe just gained something because somebody else, you know, gave it to them. And similar to the second house, which is their opposite house. The difference here with the eighth house is the second house might be comfortable, right? Because it's about, the eighth house is about being comfortable. The second house, the eighth house wants to ascend and transform and consume. And so also another interesting thing I wrote down about the eighth house is that I feel like they're really good at overcoming life's challenges. The eighth house can be home to a lot of intense, deep thoughts. Some of the thoughts dark. It's emotional, but it's like emotional, strong emotion. All right. And it can border so much on just like intense energy. It's Mars and Pluto in that 8th house, and it can make you or it can break you. And so the interesting thing I think about them is like Jupiter in the 8th house brings light to the 8th house. So it transforms things. It makes you see the positive. These are the people who don't back down. They overcome life's challenges. This could be a great placement for someone who is a motivational speaker or speaks about their life. This could be a great placement for somebody who maybe went through a dark time, who maybe somebody who had like maybe a substance abuse issue and they write about it, or they counsel other people, because the 8th house is also home to trauma. So Jupiter and 8th house people can sometimes take that trauma or take any topic that other people are afraid to talk about and think about and lift it up for other people and show other people how to cope through things. So that's a very important thing to think about with the 8th house. So it's an emotional strength. You know, the lessons make them stronger. You know, what happens to them makes them stronger, not weaker. And the Jupiter 8th house person, though sometimes we can see, because power is 8th house related, sometimes they cannot appreciate what they get. So remember, if you get something easily and you didn't work for it, sometimes you don't value it the same way as when you had to actually work for something. So sometimes Jupiter 8th house has to watch out for taking things for granted. Jupiter in 9th. So we're live here because Jupiter rules the 9th house. And so now we are dealing with the person who's going to attract the most luck when they think about truth, sharing the truth, living the truth, expressing the truth, showing other people what the truth is, you know, not just investigating things, but literally sharing the message. And that can mean being a writer. It can mean being a teacher. It can mean being a religious figure, because religion, you know, people have certain beliefs and they tell people what to follow, or they uplift their religion's beliefs with that. So that can be a great placement for somebody involved in any type of teaching that wants people to do something. So the difference is with religion, and the difference in the 3rd house. The 3rd house is information. It's just learning. Let's get the information. The 9th house is what do we do with it? What purposeful type of life do we now live because of this energy here? And so Jupiter and 6th house people are not chained to the demands of normalcy. They are not chained to the demand of this is how things have to be. Now, again, polarities, because you can have some I've said this before, that's Sag energy. You can have the Sag person who is like devout religious person, indoctrinating everyone. This is what I believe. You have the complete opposite person who doesn't believe in anything or doesn't believe in religion and is like, no, life is really like this. And so either way, Sagittarius energy, Jupiter, 9th house energy has a belief. And they typically want that belief to be shared among other people. Or they want other people to understand life in a richer, deeper way. And so when your Jupiter is in the 9th house, you're going to have luck in going beyond just learning, but purpose. What do you do with what you learn, Jupiter in the 9th house? Because the 9th house is also linked to travel. The reason it's linked to travel is we're talking about diversity. We're talking about life's purpose and how do we actually make life fair and how do we make it beneficial for everybody? That is what we're talking about with the 9th house. That is why law is associated with the 9th house. That is why morals are associated with the 9th house. We're now thinking, how do we enlighten everybody? How do we tell everybody the truth? And sometimes you're uncovering the truth in order to highlight that, especially you Sag. If it's a Sag person with Scorpio energy, or you're a Jupiter 9th house person with Scorpio energy, digging up the truth and sharing it with everyone is probably going to be a part of your life. You're trying to expose people. No, I'm joking. That's the point with Jupiter 9th. They want to understand life in a deeper way. Now, what is a possible pitfall for that? Let me look. Let me refer to this. A pitfall can be indoctrinating people. Jupiter, you believe so much in the truth, but you don't listen to other people's truth. So you do have to be careful any type of energy in the 9th house of not listening to other people's truth and wanting so much to just have other people believe yours, because you have the potential for people to really follow you. This could be great for a leader, a political leader, a ruler. We don't have rulers anymore, but like somebody that's like in charge of something, but in charge of the ideology of society, in charge of communicating messages to people, teaching people, sharing awareness, right? but you have to be careful of how that message gets across to others. Now, Jupiter in 10th, the area of career, is going to bring you the most luck because you can illuminate this area of your life. Now, you might have to work a little bit for it, but at the same time, you will be seen and recognized. You're able to move up through your efforts. People will begin to see you, right? And because they see you and you do it so effortlessly that it allows people to feel that they are more connected to you, because remember, Jupiter can attract people to us. And so right now we're talking about the career. We're talking about the person who maybe because their likes can move up the ranks. And that might not feel fair, but hey, Saturn in the 10th house person might have to work a little bit harder than Jupiter in the 10th house person. So Jupiter and 10th house person sometimes can benefit off that likability. They can benefit in their career from how they come across to other people. Now, this is the earth house. So we're thinking here, this is the person who's able to sustain their reputation. Their reputation is important to them. Let me just look at one of my other notes. I want to make sure I'm capturing everything that I want to tell you. Yeah, they're influential. People will publicly recognize you. Right, so this would be a great placement for anybody who is known, famous. Even if you're just known in your town, known to me doesn't always mean you're famous around the world. You can make an impact in your community. You can make an impact in your family. You can make an impact in your town, your city, in your region. Like your country. There's so many different ways to make an impact. I don't want it to seem like you can't make an impact unless you are making millions of dollars, right? But sometimes there could be a tendency to, let me see what I said. You can assume things. You can assume that you're going to get everything. You can assume that you're going to move up. You can assume that you're the chosen one. So you do want to be careful because the 10th house there, when we have Jupiter, Jupiter's expansive and Jupiter's kind of like, this is mine. But now we have the 10th house, which is the earth house ruled by Saturn. So we're still dealing with Saturn energy, even though Jupiter's there, if that makes sense. So you do want to watch out, still making sure that you are, not being too power hungry or getting too caught up in the ranks. Oh, I'm here. I'm moving up. I'm moving up. I'm moving up. I don't have to work hard anymore. You're going to get humbled. Okay. Cause that's a 10th house and that's the earth house and they're going to humble you. Sorry. But I think that Jupiter and 10th house people can gain approval. This is a good placement sometimes for people who are in, any type of job where, likability is the key to their ascension. It's just a different type of energy than you would say for Mars or Saturn, which might have to actually do the work, but Jupiter can do the work. But Jupiter, you're going to move up a little bit higher when you have Jupiter in your 10th house. In your career, you'll be favored. You might have a good reputation. Jupiter in the 11th house in a bigger level, like Jupiter in 6 is good, like in terms of the work, everyday environment, but 10th house, we're talking about your reputation, right? So this is like, you might move up in your corporation, might become bigger. Jupiter in 11th house, people see the most luck in the area of friendship, growing your associations. Who are you associated with? Who do you know? Jupiter in 11th house, people should never stop socializing, basically. And you probably won't, because this area of life brings you light. You, whether it's religion, people who are religious, whether it's, college, maybe it's an old college group of friends, or maybe you're in college and you're in a part of a sorority or a fraternity, or you're a part of some type of group or organization or some type of hobby or something that you have. Jupiter 11th house people will see the most luck when you're in groups, when you're around others, is when you're going to see the most luck. You're going to have the most contacts. You're going to be able to network. You're going to see a lot of your dreams and hopes start to magnify because you're tapping into your 11th house, which is others, society. Okay, you're not 100% going to do everything by yourself. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you not independent. Being part of something is going to be your luck. Being a part of an organization, a company, a group. And it does not mean you can't still be independent, but your alliances and your associations is really what's going to bring you the most luck. So you will have jobs that relate to like being a part of something. Technology is ruled in the 11th house, is a part of the 11th house. So really taking good care of those relationships, those partnerships that you have, and being a part of a group. But it has to be something you care about. When we talk about the 11th house, it's not random stuff. It's your ideologies, it's your beliefs. Remember, we're talking about Uranus, Saturn, Aquarius energy here. So we're thinking of forward thinking. And so you also can grow from being forward thinking, doing what other people haven't quite done. But your associations are going to be really, really important to you. Jupiter in the 12th house people will have the most luck in actually the areas of faith, in leaps of faith, in things happening in your life that you didn't even think were possible. But it happened because you have a higher power guiding you. And whether you are spiritual and whether you are religious or whatever you are or not, you have a higher power guiding you, and you will have the most luck in your life when you allow that to happen. When you sense things. The 12th house is intensely spiritual. So you have this wisdom beyond your years. You have the ability to help and heal other people, but you cannot hide that, right? And so the Jupiter in the 12th house people, you are going to find that life is more favorable for you when you are doing that selfless work, because the 12th house is pretty selfless. And we're talking about Jupiter expansion and Jupiter's spreading awareness and Jupiter's wisdom. And so you can help others through your wisdom, through your words, or through your help, or through what you can provide, because Jupiter's about generosity. So you're actually probably a very generous person. Jupiter in the 12th house people, you will have the most luck in area of your life when you do those things. You know what's right. Stop, you're going to think a lot, right? And especially if you're like a Virgo or a Gemini or anybody really analytical, Jupiter in the 12th house, or even Aquarius, whatever you are. But some of you are going to be really thinkers. But you do have to understand that your luck is going to come when you do what you know internally is right. That's what you listen to most of the time. That's right. That's where you're going to see the most luck, when you just go for what's right, because those things come back to you. You get rewards from that. Okay. You benefit from those situations. You benefit from helping other people, because now you are raising your spiritual awareness. So yes, if you have Jupiter in the 12th house, you do have to have a little tiny spiritual component to your life. You do. Anybody with 12th house energy, but especially you. Jupiter used to rule Pisces. Jupiter used to rule the 12th house. And here's what I'm saying. Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces, not Neptune. Modern astrology, we use Neptune. And so the only thing I would say that Jupiter in 12th has to watch out for is doing so much for others that you lose your ability to do for yourself. Because if Jupiter is here, you also need to work on your own inner awareness, because the 12th house is a very personal house. And as much as you want to help people, it's like what I said with the first house. Jupiter in the first house can overpromise. I can do everything. Jupiter in the 12th house, I can help everybody. Because we're talking about compassion here. We're talking about 12th house energy. That's what that's all about, helping others. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you want to solve everybody's problems. And sometimes you're not solving yours. And so that's something just to think about when you have Jupiter in the 12th house. So, any job that requires Jupiter in 12th house people to heal or help others or uplift others' conditions, anything that requires you to help the emotional well-being of somebody, anything that requires you to kind of solve their problems or help their problems, because remember, Jupiter is wisdom as well as the other things we like about Jupiter. It would be important to the Jupiter in the 12th house person. But if you have any questions, drop me a comment. I'll respond. But also at the same time, please view the Jupiter through the signs video. And I would definitely combine that video, watch the video for your sign and combine it with this video for your house, and really see what your Jupiter placement is really telling you about yourself. So thank you for watching.